Hey everybody, how's it going? So sorry I am late. Traffic issues, and now I've got cats and dogs and everyone else around me. So anyway, greetings. So tonight, what are we going to talk about? Well, I think one of the things to talk about is this whole student loan thing. Fairly interesting stuff. I think we can all agree. Earlier in the week, I was reading Larry Summers' take on this. I guess it was a couple days ago, and he's like, "Oh, we shouldn't forgive student loans, right?" So I went and I read through his logic, and his logic is flawed, which is interesting. Larry Summers is like a brilliant guy. He also he just goes to show that once people are in kind of a groove, a rut, whatever, they don't seem to be able to break out of it. It's like people, the old adage, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. Well, it sure seems like you can't teach Larry Summers to look at the history of kind of everything he says and have it actually turn into something. I mean, yeah, one of the arguments that he made about the whole, and then on top of that, let's say Joe Biden, of course, today announced that he was going to forgive $10,000 per student if they made $125,000 or less, or per couple if they made $250,000 or less. And I guess if they were Pell Grant recipients, they could also get another $10,000 for a total of $20,000, which has set this kind of, quote, conservative world on fire with attacking him giving away money. And it's the same conservative world, of course, that never criticizes our man Trump when he decides he's going to give away $1.7 trillion. And you didn't hear a lot of complaining from the same people at the same time when the PPP loans are being handed out, and those all got forgiven. So, I mean, at the end of the day, I think it's a little disingenuous. Now, while I'm sitting here, I'm going to go ahead and make sure that I'm actually on here. So if anyone is watching this, that would be cool. You could let me know, right? Hey, there I am. I see me on Twitter. And hopefully it's a little more fluid this time than it's been in the past because I upgraded my internet and I have dragged 100 megabit connection straight up here. So I should have plenty for video, and it looks like it's actually flowing pretty well today. So let me know if it is. Anyway, a lot of you who are Twitter viewers or probably Twitter followers have seen I'm pretty active today. I've also been active on Facebook. I try to kind of use those social media platforms to not only just post what I say, which is what a lot of politicians do. They say, look at me, here's my picture, that type of thing. I also kind of use it to get out there and say, look at the flaws in people's arguments or look at the flaws in my opponent's words, which requires a little more effort. And so I do that. And it's pretty good. So Virginia Fox, of course, my opponent in North Carolina's 5th district, has been in opposition to student loan cancellation for a long, long time. Now, all it takes is a little bit of Google to figure out that the reasons Virginia Fox is so opposed to student loan cancellation is because she gets a lot of money from people who have a vested interest in the continuation of the status quo, right? I mean, it is absolutely pathetic the way that she panders to her donors. And it's not hard to draw a line between go to opensecrets.org, look at her largest donors, look at what industries support her, and they have direct ties to the student loan industry. So today, when she throws up a tweet that says something like, let me see, I'll go there and actually check it out, right? Let's see. We'll go to Virginia Fox's site. I guess I could share. That's something we could try at some point, since this is new and different, is I can share my Can I share a screen? Yeah. So I can do this. Like, how does that work? And then I do this, add source, invite yes, share screen. And I'll share screen 3. I have 3 screens. And y'all can see that. Now, I have a big problem in that, oh, and then how do I make it look good? What about like this? Yeah, look at that. Pretty cool, huh? So let's see. We can go to, where do we go? Come on. Now I'm all enamored by my screen sharing. I'm like, hey, check that out. So here's Virginia Fox, right? And here's her and her people all whining about how much it's going to cost. Oh my gosh, right? And here's her complaining about President Biden will do anything to appease his radical progressive base, even if it means bankrupting our country or kneecapping taxpayers in the middle of an inflation crisis, which I love the last words, the last 6 words or 7, in the midst of an inflation crisis. Yeah, no shit, Virginia. So there is. The prices have gone up. Wages really haven't gone up like they commiserately. So therefore, the inflation crisis is putting more financial pressure on people. That inflation crisis is not due to handouts or anything. That inflation crisis is due to supply problems created by mishandling the pandemic by Trump. And it's worldwide. It's not Biden's fault. So what's your suggestion? Well, this week, Virginia Fox, with her kneecapping the taxpayers in the midst of an inflation crisis, her solution is make sure people have less money now, right? Because that'll stop inflation. Now, I'll bet you if somebody came up with a big ass tax cut for the rich, she'd be all in favor of that. And she'd be like, no, that's not going to cause inflationary pressures. And this loops back to our man, Larry Summers, who had the same thing where he's like, this could cause a macroeconomic inflationary cycle. The words were something along those lines. And I got news for Larry. So because prices have been going up, because gas was high, because rents are going through the roof, because of all this, all that money that people, if things had stayed flat, would have been saving during the student loan pause are already it's all in the economy. It's already there, right? So forgiving those student loans is not going to cause a student loan crisis, an inflation crisis, because the people are already spending that money. So basically what you're going to do is you're going to take the pressure off of them, and they're going to be able to enter the economy on even terms without some kind of, was it Damocles sword hanging over their head of a student loan restart. But you see, Virginia Fox doesn't care about that because Virginia Fox is literally in the pocket of the student loan industry. So, hey, if you're in the pocket, she's getting paid. You got to give her that, man. And she would say, no, it goes to my campaign. Well, come on. She doesn't have to spend anything on this campaign. She's not spending anything on this campaign. She's just raking in dough, right? Absolutely just raking money. And what's she going to do with that? Well, I'm guessing she'll reimburse herself for expenses and all that kind of stuff. She does not hold town halls, so she never really talks to people in her district. Right now, she's probably going around gumshoeing it, into volunteer fire departments or some shit, right? Yeah, Jamie. So Jamie's on the chat, and anyone else, if you chat into Facebook Live, if you chat into Twitter, if you chat in any of those YouTube, whatever, this software I'm using called Restream.io consolidates it all so I can see everybody's chat, which is really, I don't know, man, I think it's pretty darn cool, right? Because if people say something and do something, I can see it. So let's see. And there's people coming up here. But anyway, Jane, yeah, people could start a business. There's a ton of different stuff people could do with the money that they are given. there are a ton of ways that this could stimulate the economy that is not inflationary. People could buy a house. Today, it came out today that the fastest growing list of houses on the market is in my area, Raleigh, Durham, Chapel Hill, the Triangle. Now, it was also one of the hottest places to buy a house. Well, a lot of people were getting priced out, and certainly a lot of people that were suffering under student loan debt couldn't save any money. And they weren't catching up on student loans either. It was like they kept getting buried deeper and deeper. Maybe they can do something like buy a house. They might be able to afford rent for a little while. They might be actually able to go to that community college that every conservative says is free when it's not. There's an infinite number of things that you can do with that money. And there's a lot that's already being done, which is why it's not going to cause a lot of inflationary pressure. Excuse me. One of the other things that people have as an argument is how unfair it is that somebody else is getting their student loans paid off. It's just unfair. Why should they have to pay? Why should I get student loans paid off and somebody else should? Well, I'm going to tell you right now, my wife and I both put our own way through school, right? We both paid our tuition, our books, our fees. We both worked our way all the way through. She has a master's from the University of Pennsylvania. I have half a master's from the University of Southern Maine, as well as a bunch of random education, plus a bachelor's degree from Old Dominion University. Go Big Blue. Anyway, and every single cent of that was paid by me. And yeah, I had student loans. And my wife, every single cent was paid by her, and she had student loans, and we paid them off. But I'm not bitter because somebody else now who had to pay those things, who's paying and paying and paying and never catching up, never get a break, right? The terms are different back then. The cost was different back then. I paid my way through college in the late 80s, early 90s, working as a bartender and a waiter. And then I worked in the computer center at my university. And in the computer center at my university, I made minimum wage. But by doing that in kind of a work study thing, plus the Pell Grant, plus the loans I took, I could actually have a balanced life. And it was enough that I came out with not being buried in debt. That doesn't exist anymore. The world that Virginia Fox lived in, right? Which, I mean, not to pick on Virginia here, but how much do you think tuition was when she was in college? I mean, I don't know. That was a long, long time ago. Sorry, Virginia. But anyway, tuition then was not expensive. Didn't cost her much of anything. Now, one of her biggest campaign donors, and you can go look at this, right, on opensecrets.org, is a place called Full Sail. Full Sail is a school. Let's see. We'll do fullsail.com and see what we get here. I'm liking this whole thing here. Yeah, see, so this is Full Sail University. We're different, right? Yeah, they're different. All right. You know what's really different about them? They have they've had a couple different situations where they've been accused of like fraud. They are her biggest campaign donor. Okay, a for-profit university. She has loyalties to these for-profit universities and other people who have a vested interest in the loan business doing this, right? Think about that. If she's getting big checks from these people, why is she constantly haranguing about never forgiving any student debt? Is it because she's morally opposed to it, or is it because she's getting talking points from Full Sail University and other people? I don't know, man. You can connect the dots, I think. That if you connect the opensecrets.org contributions dots to her and her positions, I think you'll find it's almost linear, right? One is directly related to the other. So she's got like $3 million in her bank account. If she really was so independent in her thinking, she wouldn't take any money from these cats. None of them, right? She could not take any campaign contributions and be free as a bird. But no, she loves those campaign contributions, right? And she takes them from people that she carries water for. And it's because I believe Mick Mulvaney, right? Remember him? Mick Mulvaney. This is another good one. Let's try it. Let's look him up. Mick Mulvaney, pay for play. Let's see what we get. Oh, look at this. Mick Mulvaney personifies pay to play. So this guy wrote an anti-student debt article lately, and what he did basically was he got up in front of a bunch of fundraisers and he said ostensibly, if you don't give me money, I'm not even going to talk to you. He like said that. Now, this guy was the head of the Consumer Financial Services Bureau. He was supposed to be protecting customers. And when he was in Congress, he's like, you know what? If you don't pay me, I'm not even going to talk to you. This is a guy that's on the same page as Virginia Fox. So anyway, and Julie, I don't know why people vote for her. So I really don't. And here's why I think, right? Let's talk about this. Let's talk about that. So NC5, which is my district, is 12 counties, or all of most counties, all of 10 counties and partials of 2 counties, and actually majority land-wise of 2 counties in northwestern North Carolina. So I can pull that up in a minute, and we'll use it on our cool little page there, right? I like this. I should move over here, though, because then I'm more in the picture. I don't know. The Kyle Parrish podcast, or, whatever this streaming needs, we'll figure it out. However, the deal is, I would say, so Jamie, that's interesting. Jamie says she knows half the district. Well, she does. She goes around and she puts on her tennis shoes and talks to everybody, and she goes to their barbecues and all that. And that's great stuff. However, when I was up in Ashe County at Christmas for July, and I asked people, I said, hey, what do you think? What has she ever done for you? Not a single person could tell me anything. No one knows. Here's the reason that she gets elected time after time after time after time. It's a combination of ignorance. And by that, I don't mean negative ignorance. I mean a lack of information that people have been given over time. So they're truly ignorant of the facts of who Virginia Fox really is. They view her as the little grandmotherly lady who comes in her tennis shoes, coupled with tribalism, right? So, I look at it in 3 levels, I think. So there's partisan behavior. Then which is partisan behavior is, I'm going to stick with my party pretty much on what they do, but I'm still got some open-minded. Then there's tribalism. And tribalism is kind of like, I don't know, Patriots and Jets fans, maybe Virginia Tech. Like, you never cross that boundary. So in this case, that's Republicans and Democrats in some ways. So there are these people who are very tribal. They're like, man, I've always been red. My family's always been red. We've always voted Republican. We're never not going to vote Republican. That's just the way it is. I think that's another big reason. And then now it has bled into what I would call secularism. And secularism is more a religiosity around this. So people are so committed, and that's what the Republican Party, with all of its hate mongering and its dehumanization of liberals and Democrats, and you're a Marxist and a communist, they're trying to drive people into a secular view of the world, right? And that secular view is a very dangerous view because it basically is almost religious. It's like the thing that caused the Crusades. We are Christian, you are Muslim. Or the Inquisitions, right? We are Christian, you are Jewish. It is a religiosity. And so people refuse to even open their mind to think about someone else. So if you think about our 12 counties, A lot of them are historically very, very red. And I don't say conservative because most of them aren't conservative. And nowadays, conservatism has been thrown out the window. Conservatism is a respect for institutions, it's a respect for rule of law, it's respect for process, it's respect for everything that America represents being held in a certain way. So it's kind of this unchangeable version of the founding fathers. That's what conservatism is. What we have now is run amok populism that supported by a crazy set of kind of tribalist, secularist, or religious fervor almost in the parties. So they vote for her because they don't see any other alternative. And when I have conversations with people, and if they'll actually take the time to realize that I'm not like some crazy card-carrying Marxist communist gonna take everybody and make them live in a house just like everybody else kind of person, and they start listening to my real life view of the world, which is that we should all have affordable and accessible health care, that we should all have jobs that pay a living wage, and if you work there 40 years, you shouldn't worry about starving to death when you're done. That in order for our businesses and kids to thrive, whether it's business wise or education wise, or elderly folks to be able to get health care brought into their house, everybody needs the utility of broadband, just like they do indoor plumbing and electricity. I'm not some kind of radical looking to turn the whole world into a commune. I basically think the people of the 5th District deserve an opportunity to thrive and to give themselves a chance to thrive. And in order to do that, they need to have good health, they need to have good education, and they need to have opportunities for good jobs. I mean, it seems like pretty basic stuff. And when you actually start talking to people, they believe it. Now, Virginia Fox does not believe in any of that. Virginia Fox literally hates unions, hates the National Labor Relations Board, hates the fact that anyone's allowed to organize. She basically, says higher wages are job killers. I mean, on and on and on. Where it comes to healthcare, you know what her plan is? As far as I can tell, well, there really is no plan, but it's the one-liner, which is break down state barriers to health insurance. Well, the industry that is so good at that is the industry of credit cards. It's kind of an interesting story, and I'm not going to get into it, but the fact of the matter is credit card companies used to be regulated at the state level. And so they weren't allowed to basically charge people incredible fees and usurious rates and everything else. They actually had to open up in each of the states. The banks had to open them up in each of the states, et cetera, et cetera. And so the banks lobbied to get them to be nationalized. So look at all your credit card statements. Where do they come from? Pretty much guarantee you one of two places, South Dakota or Delaware. What kind of interest rate control do they have? Almost none. What kind of fee control do they have? Almost none. Why? Because they found the most lax states who wanted the credit card money brought in and allowed the credit card companies to kind of run amok, which is why our friend Mick Mulvaney, who's on the screen right here, this guy right here, is it this way? Yeah, that guy. Why there was a Consumer Financial Protection Board set up ultimately because these banks and these companies were just basically behaving horribly. Do you really think that that's a viable system for healthcare, where they go to the absolute least regulated state that's not going to require them to do anything, and they're allowed to set up a health insurance company where they charge you a premium and never pay for a piece of your healthcare? Because that's what's going to happen. That's her plan. My plan, on the other hand, is to say, you know what? We probably can't do it immediately, but we should have a progression where we basically get rid of all employer-based health care and we get rid of private health insurance companies for the most part. Because I don't believe anybody should have your job controlling your access and affordability of healthcare. I mean, seriously, think about it. Why should where you work make a difference? I mean, honestly, right? I can't think of why where I work makes a difference in my affordability and accessibility of healthcare. And believe it or not, actually everybody believes this. The president and CEO of some company have a different healthcare plan than the rest of the workers. You can bet on that, right? And they pay a lot less and they have a much broader pharmaceutical benefit and they basically get private scans and everything else. So there's multiple plans within companies for different levels. So the bigger job you get, the better healthcare plan you get. So basically, why is that? It makes absolutely no sense. So Virginia Fox is like, yeah, let's have more of that and make it so that they can profit off of your health as much as possible. It's insane. Honestly, it's absolutely nuts. So then the private health insurance companies, I've yet to find anybody who can tell me why they exist other than as parasites. There's four main groups within within our healthcare system in the United States. So it's called the 4 Ps. And I may have talked about this before, and I probably need to start putting together a slide of the topics I'm going to talk about, but I'm going to roll today. And Julie, if you have a suggestion of something you'd like me to talk about, feel free. It's open mic night on the Restream. Anyway, the 4 Ps: patients, that's us; providers, that's your doctors; policymakers, that's what I'm trying to be, vote for Kyle; and payers. So, what's a payer? A payer is your health insurance company. A payer is the VA. A payer is you if you walk in and hand them a stack of cash. It's the person who actually pays for the services. So essentially, your United Healthcares, your Aetnas, your Cignas, your WellPoints, your fill in the blank, they're all payers. They only have one job for the most part. And they may make it sound a lot fancier, and they probably would say they have more than one job, but they really have one job. It's to collect your money, called the premium, and it's to pay for your services, called the healthcare. And what do they do in the middle of that? Well, they hire a bunch of marketing people. They hire a bunch of advertising people. They've got massive information technology groups. They create all kinds of other side businesses that they can do, like managing other people's healthcare plans and everything else, all of which does nothing to make you healthier, to make our health system more efficient or anything else. And they'll say, absolutely, without competition, you won't drive down cost. Well, so I call bullshit, because guess what? We have worse outcomes than any other industrialized nation, and we cost twice as much. So if they are supposed to be driving down costs, and that's their argument, that the free market is going to reduce costs, that's horseshit. It's not true. So if anybody tells you it is, it's not. Ask them to provide you any evidence. So there's 3 great places if you ever want to learn about healthcare plans around the world. It's pretty cool. There's the Commonwealth Fund chart pack, which I absolutely love. It's like there's multiple levels of it, but you can find some really great information there. The Kaiser Foundation actually does research on worldwide health and American healthcare and can give you information also. And then the third one is the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, the OECD, and they do it too. And you can actually go in there and verify all this stuff that I'm saying. Or you can find someone you know who works at a health insurance company and grill them as to what value they're actually providing for the universe. And they'll probably say, well, it brings home a check for my family. And it does. Kudos, man. I'm glad. But the check for their family is probably also making sure that somebody else doesn't get to see the doctor they want at the price they should be paying. So that's that. All right. And yeah, Virginia Fox is also. So the other thing I wanted to talk about is Virginia Fox. Let's do this. This is fun. All right, let's do Virginia Fox stock trades. All right. So where is it here? Stock. Let's do stock trading. I was looking for this cool site that adds it all up for us. Where'd it go? It's called like House. Hold on, it's on my phone. Uno momento, right here. Let's see. Dun, dun, dun. Here it is. It's House Stock Watcher. So let's see if we can find this thing. House Stock Watcher. Oh yeah, let's go. Is it here? Is it only on an app? Maybe. Here you go. Is there a way? I wonder if I can share this somehow. Like, can I airdrop it to this thing? That would be really cool. I don't think I'm going to try and figure that out because this is really cool. But as you can see, if you can, yeah, we can read it off the screen. Look at that, except for the ring light. Look at the amount that she has traded. $9,916,658.50. Virginia Fox is going to cross the $10 million in stock trades while in office barrier. You go, Virginia. Oh, yeah. You go. $10 million. And where'd you get all that money? Oh, my God. I mean, seriously. I'm not making it up. There it is. So feel free to go there on your own. House Stock Watcher. And it's got all kinds of stuff. You can do summaries by states, daily summaries. It's a pretty cool little app. And it basically shows that she spends most of her time trying to make more money. I don't think she went into Congress 18 years ago with millions upon millions upon millions of dollars, but she's sure making it while she's there. And yet what's she doing? She's complaining about other people who are getting a $10,000 break on a student loan from a college that gives her money, who ripped that student off to start with. So back to why would anyone vote for Virginia Fox? I don't frickin' know. I mean, and I would vote for Virginia Fox if I worked for like one of these companies that was giving her money to carry my water. Otherwise, she really does nothing for anyone here in the. So another thing is, I think, let's see, Virginia Fox earmarks. Let's see. Here's another thing we can talk about. She made her first. I'm going to share the screen again because I think it's worth noting some of this. And oh my God, it's doing it. That's weird. All right, stop that. Why is it doing that, you think? I don't know what's happening. Make it stop. Hold on. Okay. We're going to open it up again. There we go. No flickering. All right. So can I move this somehow? Can I move? I'm exploring. Please be patient. Here we go. So Congressman Virginia Fox renewed her pledge not to request special federal budget carve-outs, better known as earmarks. Fox first made her no earmark pledge in 2007 and will maintain her no earmark pledge in the 112th Congress. So Washington's earmark system is a symptom of out-of-control spending and backroom deal-making. Okay, so she's like, yeah, I'm going to toss the system. It's probably because she's just flat out lazy and doesn't care about the people who live in her district. I mean, that's basically what you boil down to. It's like, it sounds really nice and responsible and everything, but it's not, right? She does not do anything. So if you don't get earmarks, you don't bring money back into your district. So if your infrastructure is failing and your rural hospitals are collapsing and you don't have good roads, or you need a new road to help you open up some opportunity for economic development, or your water system is under pressure and it's going to collapse or whatever, sometimes you need federal money. Virginia is not going to bring any of that. And if you drive around the 5th district, it's pretty evident she hasn't done any of that. She doesn't bring any money back to the district. You know who she brings money back to? Oh, hold on. Let me see. I think I know. Where does Virginia Fox bring money? One sec. I think we got this. Oh, where did she go? Anyway, the answer is Virginia Fox brings money back to Virginia Fox, right? Virginia Fox brings $9,968,000 so far of stock trades back, while bringing nothing to the district. So I think, Catherine, I don't know if you were here, so good to see you, and I'll see you, I guess, this weekend in person. But they're too ignorant to study what she hasn't done for you. You're exactly right. They can look around. They can look at the fact that when businesses closed down in various counties in the 5th district, that she did nothing to help the people whose businesses moved to Mexico or moved to China, and all the people lost their jobs. I can't remember. I'll find it for the next one, but I can't remember the actual bill. But she voted against allocating any money to help retrain the people who had lost their jobs in the 5th district when a couple of factories moved offshore. She's like, nah, they don't need any money. They don't need any retraining. They'll be fine. Because she doesn't care. Literally nothing she does indicates that she cares about anything except getting elected and going back up there. Right? And so when you say, Catherine, they're too ignorant, I was talking about that a little earlier. I was saying, I think it's ignorant, and I don't want to make it in a negative way. It's like a lot of this information isn't provided to them. So I probably haven't done a great job at a lot of the pieces of campaigning, and I'm learning, right? I'm a first-time candidate, so everybody please forgive me. I'm trying to make myself available. I'm trying to be out there and everything else. I haven't been a great fundraiser by any stretch, so if anybody here wants to give me money, that would be awesome. You can go to my website, kp4nc.com, and make a contribution. I also haven't been great at kind of getting what's called earned press or earned media. And I'm not sure that maybe I haven't tried and it's impossible, but if you look, she even has like local papers captured. So I believe is it the Wilkes Record that she writes an op-ed in? And it's usually just some kind of nonsense that she babbles on that supports the people who donate her. No one holds her accountable to what she says. So I look at the Winston-Salem Journal, and feel free to follow them as Journal Now on Twitter or whatever. But they don't ever seem to check up on the fact that Virginia Fox collects all this money from the student loan industry and is constantly harping about the student loan industry. They don't ever seem to go and do a story, which is pretty easy to do, on her stock trading activities and the amount of money she has made while in Congress. The reason the people are ignorant is because there is no one out there raising the flag. And like on this, I can do this relatively inexpensively, right? I had to buy the equipment. I've got to have a subscription. I've got to do these things. But to get more people to show up, I need to have money to advertise this a little bit on Twitter, or advertise it on YouTube, or advertise it on Facebook, that kind of thing, to get the word out. And then I also think we have done something, and here's what we need to own. I think we need to own our responsibility. As Democrats, we've gotten so frustrated with Trump in the last 5-6 years and everything that's happened that a lot of times, and I'll just say I've had a problem with this, and I'm trying to not have the problem persist, which is when someone's like, I'm a Trump supporter, I have a real hard time just not having a visceral reaction. Well, when we do that, we're losing an opportunity to talk to people who maybe we could have a conversation with if we take the time. And maybe I'm a little Pollyanna about that, but I do believe that I do believe that we can have those conversations and they can be educated as to what benefits them. Now, in order to do that, that means the Democrats, and not just me, but the people that are watching this, I don't know how many of you are left or whatever, but we need to get out there and we need to basically have conversations with people we're uncomfortable talking to sometimes. We need to go stop preaching to the choir and go out and preach the gospel to the unconverted. We need to go out and talk to people who don't live in downtown Boone and are blue as they can be. We need to go talk to people who live in West Jefferson or who live in Spruce Pine or who live in Walnut Cove and these other areas where it's very red and these people don't know or have never heard of a Democrat. I was going through this week, I was going through our campaign materials, and I went back through the candidates, and Catherine, you know, you're in the 5th. Yadkin County does not have a single Democrat running for anything, if I recall correctly. Not a single Democrat running for a single office. If that's the case, it's pretty brutal. I mean, how are we supposed to win? How are we even supposed to fight back against the supermajority? Let me see if I have it up here. No, that's our volunteer list. Thank you. All right, hold on. Here's, hey, look at that. There's a page. Yay, I could donate to me. That's roles on the campaign. Let me see if I can just find it by doing a file open here. Open. Bear with me. Bear with me. I don't know if anyone's out there watching or listening anyway, so contact info. 5th district. Here we go. Here we go. All right, so I built this spreadsheet. If you look, here are all the Dems that are running in the 5th district, right? Now, that looks like a lot, except that some of these are repeated. A lot of them are in Watauga, right? And I think here I did a, let's see, we'll look for Massey because Ben is my friend. But anyway, here, let's just go to Yadkin. There's Yadkin. We don't have a single Democrat running in Yadkin. Wilkes, Catherine, not much better. He got one. Charles Noble running here. But we had 13 uncontested state Senate offices in this cycle. Do you know what that means? No, neither does campaign dog Bronson. He's asleep right behind me. What it means is we've basically given a 25% head start to the Republican Party on their way to trying to get a supermajority in the state of North Carolina because we didn't sign up candidates. 13 of the North Carolina State Senate districts, like the one that's pointed to here on the screen, and I guess, you know, it's weird. I got to figure out how to do. I can actually do, can I just do this and I'll put me in the corner? Yeah, there we go. Look at that. The North Carolina State Senate district here, thanks to Walt Zachary, because that, or not Walt Zachary, here it is, Charles Noble Hubbard. Rock on, man. Tell him I'm proud of him for getting out there and scrapping. But I mean, there's a level of just engagement that's gone. All right, Jamie, I will do that. And you can hit me up on Twitter too. We can go back and forth or whatever, or Facebook too. Either one. I try to keep up. Sometimes I'm not great at it. But thank you for coming tonight. So we've got to get candidates in this. So listen, I'm almost out of time, 5 minutes, but this segues into another thing that next week I'll try to be much more organized around this, but it's the long game, right? We need to start playing a long game, and we need to start thinking to ourselves, what's going to happen if we don't figure this out? Because here we have Watauga County, and if you notice in Watauga County, we have pretty much a basically a blue seat for every single red seat, because Watauga is a blue area. Oh, but look at line number 7 again. There's our friend Ralph Edward Heiss from Spruce Pine. No one's running against him. That's different than the guy from Wilkes. We need people to run. Even if you lose, we need people to run. I didn't get in this. I would love to win. But we need people to run. We need people to be vocal. We need people to get out there. We need to get people who are engaged and passionate and talking about how we need to help people and not buy into the secularism and the tribalism. And if you look here, Surrey County, very red, right? 1, 2, 3 Dems. Everyone else, these are, trust me, these are all at large. So they don't have a party affiliation with these county commissioner people, but they're all red. It's almost impossible to find Dems. We need, here you go, Stokes County, 1 Dem. Mitchell, 2 Dems. Forsyth should get more here. Yes. Why? Forsyth, the 5th district, is part of Winston-Salem. So we got some solid, good representation and some fight there. But in these red districts, we need people to stand up. Because if they don't, getting killed. Hey, look, there's Ralph Heiss again, completely uncontested. Avery, 1 Dem, running for a district. Anyway, Robert Cordell deserves applause for getting out there. Rock on, Robert Cordell. Ash, this is my friend Ben Massey. There's Ben Massey running against Phil Pickett, or Ray Pickett, I believe is what his name is that he's called. And I hope Ben Massey thumps him, because Ben's awesome. And then, of course, you've got, I believe it's Diet Roten, and then, of course, Beth Sorrell, who she and her husband, Ralph, are awesome and doing their best up there in a very, very red area. But tell you what, they're scrappers. There's people up there. I love it. They're out there trying to get the word out. And then Allegheny, a little bit better. There's our friend Ralph Heiss again. He's like taking over this whole area and not worrying about it. And Alexander, same old, same old. And then there's our buddy Walt Zachary. So we're out of time. I can't tell you how much I appreciate the people who showed up. I guess this gets recorded on Facebook Live or something. I don't know. But anyway, I love it. Next week, we'll do some more of that screen sharing stuff, and I'll really get it going. So thank you all so much for showing up. It's 8 o'clock. Me and Campaign Dog Bronson, who's fast asleep now, need to go on a walk because Campaign Dog Bronson needs to go to the bathroom. Maybe I'll feature him on our video cast next week. And also, do me a favor. If anybody watches this and thinks it would be a good idea, I might start just getting up and having coffee for like 20 minutes in the morning and talking to people. And I could do that on Zoom even, because I really do want to connect with folks and find out what y'all are thinking, because I can only learn so much sitting here. Anyway, everyone, thank you so much. Be kind to each other. Get out there and do the good deeds and tell the good words, and don't be scared to talk to people who don't agree with you. That's how we're going to make traction. Take care.